Hey, everybody. This is Eric.
And I'm Daryl.
Welcome to the auto podcast that didn't find the cats on the last show, but we might find a 1977 Panther on this one.
On this episode of Throwin Wrenches,
The year was 1977.
Elon has a Chat GPT alternative.
That'll be fun. And the Caprice outsells the F-150? What? We'll explain.
All that and more on Throwin Wrenches.
Let's go, girl.
You can't get enough Shania Twain.
I thought that was you that snuck that in.
No, I think that was you. But I don't, I'm glad we did. But maybe we need to move the genre, like every so often.
All right. Maybe I can slide something else in.
Maybe put like some classic rocks.
But every time I hear that voice, it's just something about it. I see those legs in the videos. I don't know.
It's like a siren song.
It is. Absolutely draws me in. Hey, everybody. Thanks for listening. And to join the fun of the show, as we say every time, send us an email at info@throwinwrenches.com or post a review on iTunes to be heard all around the world like you would right now, but you won't. Because you didn't do a review. You said, you know what? Those guys haven't done a show in like 20 days, so
Right,
I'm not going to do a
while.
review.
Sorry.
No.
We'll get better about it. Our schedules haven't jived.
Yeah, they haven't, and they're only going to get worse here for the next couple of weeks. But that's okay.
Yeah.
Hey, I don't know if you know my co-host, Daryl Scott.
Oh, no.
But I'm going to tell you a little bit about him. You better get as much as you can of him right now because he's leaving for a bit. This jet setter is crossing the pond to see the hot landmarks of Liverpool. No, not the second album recording location for Frankie Goes to Hollywood's album, Liverpool. No, he's not going to see any cool Beatles locations either. No, he's going to be in the crowd singing songs with the fair Sarah at this year's competition of Eurovision.
That's right. That's right.
He's Daryl Scott.
Oh, why, thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Yeah. There's no car-related stuff in that. So if anybody thinks you're a car podcaster, they're not going to get that in that description.
Probably not. I wouldn't ask for a media credentials in that setting, but I'll send you a postcard.
Are you a fan of Frankie Goes to Hollywood?
I am.
Good.
I actually am. I remember
Did you have Liverpool?
No, I didn't have Liverpool. I didn't have any of their stuff on vinyl, but I remember as a kid watching basically just torment all the interviewers on MTV. Like Kurt Loder and stuff. It was bad. Good stuff, though. Good music.
Yep.
For those of you who don't know my co-host, well, you've heard the phrase, when in Rome, do as the Romans do. Well, the same could be said for when in Kennett, Missouri. And what do they do in Kennett, Missouri? Well, you might ask. Well, as my co-host learned, they buy barbecue chicken and all the fixins from the pinnacle of gastronomy in Kennett. That's the local Exxon gas station. That's right. He's all topped off and ready for the road, and he's also loaded up with Tums. God forbid. He's Eric Stahl.
Man, you couldn't handle a gas station regimen like me, could you?
No, that's just... When I saw you post on Facebook, that was your meal.
Yeah.
I was so confused. It was like 3 pictures of a gas station. There's like a Baskin-Robbins in there, too?
No,
something?
there's no Baskin-Robbins. And what I didn't show is like the sheet of plywood like covering the window. And the gal who's checking people out. She would sit in her car between customers and like sit on her phone and smoke a cigarette. It was great.
That tracks.
Can't smoke in the place, but you can smoke in your car right outside the door.
My
right?
goodness.
Yeah.
How was that chicken, though? How was the barbecue in that gas
delicious.
station?
Oh, my God.
Yeah?
The skin was... I'm telling you what, man. Normally...
You should see the look on his face right now,
I said in my description, it stared into my soul. It did. It was the best stuff in the world.
I thought they just sold like boiled peanuts in a crock pot down south.
I just feel like Central Illinois is lacking. This is an element. Texas has this, and this Missouri gas station. You could go to Eric. Look me up on Facebook. You can read the story. But basically, I was coming back, got lost, and I stopped at the first gas station. The pumps didn't work. I was like, I'm out of here. Screw this place. But I'm like, you know what? It's a kinder, gentler Eric. I'm going to go inside, and I'm actually going to prepay on the pump. Or, whatever's wrong. I go inside. There's like a deli counter they stole from County Market that went out of business 20 years ago, but they got that thing covered up with all kinds of smoked meat, mashed potatoes, and okra.
They got hot lamps and stuff.
And there's like a line, and this is my key right here. This is how you know you found the right place. There's a line of construction workers in line getting styrofoam containers full of food.
Huh.
Road crew guys.
Yeah.
And they're all there.
Okay.
And I'm like, all right, these guys know where to eat.
That's a good
I guarantee
sign.
you every day they go out someplace. They might even go back there every day for all I know, but they were getting all loaded up. And so I looked at the food and I'm like, okay, this is great. The aromas were just blowing my mind. But the guy goes, you want anything? And I'm like, no, I'm just here to prepay for some gas. So I got $25 for the Prius. Walked back out to the car, pumped the $25, just stared at that door the whole time like, I'm going back in. I'm here. I'm in Kennett, Missouri. Am I coming back anytime soon? No, but that chicken leg quarter sitting right front and center.
See, what'd you get? You got
I got a
chicken
quarter.
thigh?
I got a corner and a kebab. It's what
Okay.
quarter and a kebab.
Okay.
So it's a thigh and a leg attached.
Any
Smoked.
veggies in there?
No.
Okay.
I just and $5. The kebab was just like a piece of breast wrapped in bacon that had been smoked. Like easiest thing in the world. I'm like, why don't I do this at home? A little pepper or something in there.
Yeah. For $5. Man. Did you get they had like fried okra or
No,
mac and cheese?
because I
or anything?
just want finger food for the car,
Okay.
And
All
normally,
right.
anyway.
You gonna go back there
Stop.
tomorrow?
I would. I'm actually salivating right now. I'm to the point where I need to get a rag and like wipe my face. So that leads me into my next. Never mind. Fort's Toyota Pekin. You know what? They probably don't appreciate this sponsorship mention right now, but
That's fine.
yeah,
That's fine.
Fort's Toyota actually got a Crown in this last week. The Toyota Crown's the new luxury car of the Toyota fleet. Beautiful car, black on black.
Nice.
Toyota Crown is made in Japan. Really, the Crown has been synonymous with luxury with Toyota for years overseas, but it was brought back to Japan in 1973. They haven't brought a Crown into the United States since then. So come out and take a look at it. There's more Crowns coming. I think there's, man, I tell you what, that GR Corolla, that's got to be coming here anytime soon. More Venzas are coming. Lots of great models. I had a thought the other day. I think we're on the precipice now of the change. There was a change like in the 90s where we kind of, Calty design team changed the look of Toyotas.
Sure.
The Celicas and the Camrys and the Supras. It was like a rounded design. I feel like right now, with the trucks and the cars and the stuff coming from Japan, we're in that design inflection point again.
Okay.
Beautiful cars coming. So contact Fort's Toyota at www.toyota-pekin.com, or you can find them on Facebook, Instagram, the Tick of the Talk at Fort's Toyota. They're there.
They're omni-channel.
Yeah, check them out. They're 15 minutes from anywhere. They're in North Pekin, Illinois. Check them out.
Yeah. I'd also like to say a quick thank you to our other sponsors, our Patreon supporters. Your support helps keep the show going, keeps us motivated, which is definitely important. And we also
Do you
want
lack motivation?
sometimes.
Okay.
Sometimes, mostly Saturdays and Sundays.
No.
I have a lot of motivation deficits. But usually by noon, I'm sufficiently caffeinated.
This is a safe space for you, Daryl.
Is it?
You can, I mean, if you're being oppressed, just wink at me.
Okay. I'll blink twice.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, we're good.
Don't wink. That's a little weird.
Well, I mean, anyways, iTunes Premium is also an option for folks who don't want to do the whole Patreon shebang.
Yeah, thanks. A couple of those iTunes Premium accounts. Thank you very much.
Yep, definitely. All right, so that kind of takes us through the business portion of our program here. It's been a while, and we've kind of come full circle. We had a segment for the longest time that we, longtime listeners will know, but it's an acronym, and it's an acronym that stands for a little something something. Eric, I'll let you introduce it.
It's called TWISM. This week in social media. Of course, if you're familiar with TWIB, This Week in Baseball, you'll know what TWISM is. Anyway, there actually is some social media news here in Central Illinois, and it comes from Central Illinois Cars and Coffee. I don't know if anybody caught this the other day, but there was a post that came out from the official Central Illinois Cars and Coffee page. It was, hey, everyone, just wanted to announce that the location is changing of the Levy District in East Peoria. It's now Riverfront Park behind the East Peoria Walmart. There'll be great parking. The map will be posted soon, the location and the parking. Of the location and parking. Thank you for all the support and the sponsors. And a big thank you to the East Peoria Chamber of Commerce and the East Peoria City Government. And Preston Lutton, I think, is the one who runs that. And where we get into the This Week in Social Media aspect is, this is all fine and dandy. Daryl and I talked a lot about this on the pre-show, and maybe we'll bridge off this a little bit. But a counter group popped up. It's in the groups on Facebook. It's called Central Illinois, or Peoria Cars and Coffee or Central Illinois Cars and Coffee, it's very similar.
It's very eerily similar.
Eerily similar.
Yeah.
Yeah. And some other guys popped on there. Stay tuned. Let's bring back real cars and coffee to Central Illinois.
Oof.
And so now this group has like 200 members. And they're trying to work against the Central Illinois Cars and Coffee page. It's the official Cars and Coffee page with thousands of members.
And this event has been going on in various shapes and forms for, what, almost 10 years? Does that sound right? Or is it 6 years, 7? When I moved here in 06, I didn't know anything about it. I think it took me until
How long have we been doing this show?
2018.
Okay, I think it's 20 years.
Yeah. No. It
We've
feels
been doing the
like
show for about 5. Yeah, I would say 7 or 8 years probably. And I wasn't really. I was probably tone deaf to it when it first started.
Me too. It was down originally in Methodist, the
Atrium.
Methodist Atrium building, the big parking lot down there, and then it moved to Northwoods Mall, Junction City. I think it was probably there was
Did
another
it
one
bounce
in
to
there.
Junction City, then to Northwoods Mall, and then back to Junction City?
Something like that. And then eventually settling in what we call the Levy District over in East Peoria, which is a giant shopping area. The city of East Peoria was so nice to be able to block that whole street off those Saturday mornings, make it safe. You could park on both sides of the street.
Exceptional space. I mean, versus everything else we'd ever dealt with before that.
The city was behind it.
Yeah.
And that really helped with traffic control, crowd control, and just facilities for folks, especially if it's a family-friendly event, so you needed a place like you take the kids, they got restrooms, they got all that fun stuff. It was a great location and still is, and we went to it for many, many years. Of course, things change. The city's redoing a big strip of that land that used to be used as grassy parking
It's
area.
going to be the new city hall, I guess, right?
Yeah, well, it's a city hall there, but then they're putting a park and some playground equipment, things like that. All things that normal city development is. It's very good stuff.
Yeah.
And as a result, they're like, hey, this whole cars and coffee thing, you guys probably need to move somewhere else.
Which, I mean, to be honest, they did roll out the red carpet after, I mean, Atrium was great. I think the Atrium was one of the best places we ever had, but let's be honest, it was a private business. People weren't respecting the space. And
No.
I think that there was a couple accidents. It was garbage everywhere.
Littering, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they tried to put garbage cans up, but people still didn't respect it. So we got kicked out of there. And then they had to move up to Peoria Heights, which, great space, but it's too small.
Yeah, it was very small.
And I think the mall wasn't half bad, but that lot, first off, that what's that, south side? It was the south side lot. Garbage, falling apart. It's like gravel on one side of it.
Yeah.
Got a couple food trucks, but it wasn't that great up there.
No.
And so East Peoria seemed like the best place in the world.
It's been there, about 4 years now?
Yeah, and I think they've done a great job of literally letting people do nonsensical things in the grass areas and drive around like idiots around the roundabout. I've seen so much stupid behavior. And then Target and
all the other retailers.
the retailers allowed 1 million cars to sit in their parking lot there and nobody ever complained. So
yeah, it was a great space. Of course, that's changed. Things are moving, and they decided the new venue is going to be actually right along the riverfront, the muddy banks of the Illinois River, right where the city also has like fireworks on the 4th of July. It's kind of I guess you'd call it like a public park, right? Kind of green space. Lots of routes in and out, but if you go to social media, there was a lot of pushback on the new location. Anytime there's any change, you're going to get some vocal folks. This went on and on and on of everybody talking about things from goose poop to grass. And
yeah, you're right. I forgot about the goose poop. People are like, I walk down there all the time. There's going to be goose poop all over the place.
Yeah, it's not a good place, and that's not why are we doing that? Can't we go to the place we were at before? Almost as if they weren't paying any attention to the rationale for the change.
Yeah, well, the criticism is easy to dish out, if you're not involved with the organization of it. And I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I'm a fan of moving it. I would love to keep it where it's at. There's no doubt. But East Peoria's made it pretty clear. Hey, you're not going to park in the grass there anymore. We're doing too much stuff there. So let's just move you out of there. And I think there was some pushback from some of the retailers too. Like I remember Xfinity and stuff like that. Like everybody's hanging out our parking spots until noon. We open at 10 a.m.
Yeah, we got 2 hours where nobody can access us.
Yeah. So it was inevitable, I think, in some ways. Maybe if there was, first off, I think anybody who volunteers for these things, it's hard to criticize.
Absolutely.
Unless you step up and you put yourself in those shoes. I mean, I've served on so many volunteer organizations. You've done the same thing. we put our heart on our sleeves to do a lot of these events because it's a passion project.
Yeah.
And then for people to step in behind you and criticize you for the effort you put in, and yet they have no skin in the game.
None.
It just drives you nuts.
Yeah.
So it'd be nice if these other people put their money where their mouth is and maybe find another place or maybe talk to the CBSPR and say, hey, let's. But no, that's not how it goes. Now they're trying to say, Logan Steakhouse, and we could go over there. Or is it Logan's?
Yeah.
Yeah. Or
A couple other places.
the Pekin Mall. We go down to Pekin Mall, man. That's back, I don't know if anybody's aware of this or not, but Fort's Toyota is a sponsor of Cars and Coffee.
Yeah.
We spend money to be sponsored to that event because guess what? It's insured. It's an event that I don't have to worry about if there's an accident or something like that it's going to come back on Fort's Toyota.
It's run well.
Yeah. So if your event you're just going to put together at Pekin Mall is going to have an insurance policy and you're actually going to have some riders, maybe it might be something we look into. But frankly, a couple guys getting together, hanging out and doing donuts at the Pekin Walmart, which has happened in the past, slamming into the lights out there with no insurance policy. Yeah, no thanks.
No, I fear there's a right way and a wrong way to go about it. If it's something that genuinely everybody is like, hey, this isn't working, I think that'll be reflected in the attendance, right? Yeah. If it's something that genuinely like, hey, we don't want to go here, okay, cool. I mean, there's ways to go about that. But just to outright slam people and use social media to drag the people who are spending time, money, and effort to put on a good time in a family-friendly event.
So easy. It's so easy for people to do that these days.
What's that line from the West Wing? Or no, what's that movie with
West Wing? I can't quote West Wing like you, Daryl.
No, I can't either. But no, it's The American President. It's another Aaron Sorkin thing where it's like, is the view good for the cheap seats, AJ, or whatever? But it is true. Like if you're just showing up every so often, you're a casual participant. Like, don't take shots. Come at them with solutions.
Yeah.
If you've got the better idea or a better venue, or somebody at City Hall or another venue that would be like, hey, we would welcome this event in our space.
Yeah.
Let's hear it. Otherwise, let's go Saturday morning, get a cup of coffee, walk around, and enjoy the cars. Like, that's what we're supposed to be doing.
And frankly, I mean, okay, I'm going to play devil's advocate here. I mean, of course, where I work is a sponsor of the event. I mean, what if it turned into an event of 300 or 400 cars in a different space? Mm-hmm. I mean, am I going to be disappointed that I don't have like a whole nother grass field somewhere else of guys who showed up at 9 a.m., Yeah. So it is what it is. I think there's a bit of an ebb and flow. I think there's a bit of a movement. There's always been a movement in this event. This event, we've watched it hop around. For you and I doing the show over 5 years, we've watched it move to 4 different places.
Right. Right. And things change. Things over time evolve and change. But you also have heard us talk about other communities that have had a decent Cars and Coffee that shrank and eventually folded because people started kind of pulling some of this. I don't like this venue. I don't like this. I don't like the coffee at the food truck.
Yeah.
Okay. Dude.
And then what's going to happen is be like, remember the good old days? Wouldn't you bring back? Well, what was the slogan of the first? I mean, Cars and Coffees make the car scene great again.
Yeah.
It's funny. To play off, a former presidential candidate or the current one. I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah, but it does though. I think everybody needs to at least get involved, participate, and at the very least, if you've got a better idea or you want to set something up, we need more events like these, not less.
Yeah.
So if you have something that's like, hey, maybe every other Sunday, this is a once a month thing. That means there's other opportunities throughout the months.
So the meet at the strip or whatever.
Yeah,
that's going on after Cars and Coffee, I think. That sounds great. I'd like to make it up there to that.
Yeah.
Now that I know you won't be in town, I don't know if I want to go.
I know. Yeah. Not this one, but
thanks.
I'll be in another one.
Anyway.
Perhaps. Anyway,
perhaps.
That was This Week in Social Media, otherwise known as
Twism!
You put it in post.
Anyway, all right. It says here, thanks for reviewing, but I guess we should skip past it. Nobody laid a review down, Daryl. Did I mention that?
Yeah, you might have said that once or twice or 12 times.
All right, so the next section of the show is where Daryl and I talk about the cars that are in our garage or any projects we got going on. We call that projects for anybody who's not keeping track.
Apropos.
All right.
There you go.
It's been a couple weeks since Daryl and I talked about the projects going on. I had bought some fuel strap. We talked about this when the Regan show. I was riding around one fuel tank strap on my 1997 Tacoma, and then had a nice ratchet strap holding the rest of it together.
Classy.
Works, held it together.
Mint.
But I went to work, and I had my parts guys look it up. Toyota does not make factory straps for that anymore. So got on the old eBay and ordered some for, I put in my 1997 4x4, whatever. And guess what? They're the wrong effing straps.
Are you serious?
No, they're wrong. They're for a 2.4 liter, not a 2.7 liter. But it said it fit my truck, but they don't. So I spent $40 on some straps that don't fit. In the meantime now, because we disconnected the front strap, I now have 2 ratchet straps holding the tank on the truck.
Did it disintegrate when they took it
Oh,
off?
yeah, just
vaporized.
powder.
Yeah. That's a bummer.
Yeah, so Napa can get some by Wednesday, which I guess they should have been here today. Oh, no, tomorrow. They'll be here tomorrow. So hopefully I'll have some tank straps on. Because I need a truck. I have no truck. The Tundra, the 4x4, is engaged. It's just stuck.
Just full time?
Yeah. Transfer case is locked in. And my wife was doing some of the horse trailer. She's like, I don't know what's going on. It's just, I can't turn the wheels. And it's a 2007 Tundra. It's got, I think we put 30,000 miles on it in 10 years.
Yeah.
She just drives it, to haul the horse trailer around. And I think sitting in the pasture every summer is being brutal on all the underguts of this thing. We did replace frame because it had a hole in it a couple years ago. Fortunately, I was smart enough to find the hole in that thing, so that worked out. But the rest of the other parts, still have rust on them.
It's got some stuff. Is that a vacuum actuated thing or electronic?
I think this one's mechanical that's going on inside. I think the mechanical aspect just isn't.
It's like frozen or something.
Yeah, and sometimes you can jolt them. You just do a 12-volt direct, and then just keep pounding on them with a hammer, and they'll fire up. But
yeah,
I'm hoping that we get that handled. I swear, I do not need more expenses in my life because last weekend.
Yeah, don't bury the lead on this because this is a good one. What happened last weekend, Eric?
Last weekend, you know what you do, Daryl, when you have a mower, when you have tractors around the pasture and stuff like that, you maintain these vehicles because you want. You know what? My lifeblood on the pasture is a tractor.
Yeah.
I got 10 acres out here. I got to keep this thing mowed, man.
Yeah, you don't have enough goats. You need more goats.
No, so I ran to Farm and Fleet, got the Kohler tune-up pack. Comes with a spark plug, an air filter, oil filter, and 2 quarts of oil. Do it every year. Same thing. It's easy. And it even comes with a new fuel filter. And got it, set it off to the side, got the mower, fired it up. Ran it for a couple minutes and made sure everything was working. Because last year I put a new belt on it, which was a pain in the patootie with a ZTR. It was a nightmare with the ZTR. Anyway, did it and mowed for 10 seconds. All right, it's good. And I parked it off to the side of the garage. And then I went back in the barn. Came back outside. I look over. Yeah, my mower's on fire. There's about 12 to 18 inches just lipping yellow flame off of the engine of my tractor.
You didn't get video of it?
No, I thought I can't. Daryl knows more than anybody. I take a picture of everything. I take a picture. I mean, I don't
document your life.
I do.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but it's just something I do. I thought about taking a picture. I'm like, if I take a picture of my mower on fire without going to put it out first, what kind of an idiot am I? So I went and got a hose. I washed it off. I got the flame out. Started steam. I did take a picture of that, and
that's the one I got. I got the smoldering, the post smoldering Poor Cub Cadet.
Well, it kept burning. There was still fresh smoke. It wasn't just steam now resonating because it was hot. So I went to the air filter, unclasped both sides of the air filter, and flame just jumped at my face. I'm like, God.
No.
So I think that the the fuel return under the carburetor, I think it was not venting. I don't know what's going on. I have to imagine it's something to do with that fuel return because the carburetor still had gas in it. It was burning. And so the air filter was burned up. The fuel lines that go into the carburetor were burned up. It was just dripping between the hose gunk and the gas that was in it. It was just burning on that. Just doused it with water. Just kept hitting it with water. So now, and then the carburetor's filled with water. That motor's trash.
You think so?
Yeah, I think so.
Well, I'm sorry for your loss.
It's like 8 years old. So I went from a mower that normally could trade in for $1,000 to a mower that I can't hardly give away to a place. And that's the worst part about it because normally I've dealt with living out in the country for 25 years. I've traded in many mowers. Here's $1,200, here's $1,000, here's $800, depending on the mower condition, whatever. Now I've basically gone to a mower that's worth zero. And then I went to TikTok and looked. These mowers go on fire all the time. These Kohler motors.
Yeah.
I think after so many years, they're cracked return lines or something on them.
Or some sort of plastic composite part that breaks or something.
Garbage, just rubber hoses, I think is what it is. And
because usually, I mean, your stuff, it sounded like went up pretty quick.
Oh, yeah.
And the pictures you showed, like a lot of stuff was just straight up melted in short time.
Yeah.
So that, that kind of leans itself towards some sort of fuel leak or something.
Yeah. Oh, it was totally. It was because it was totally just gas fire. Yeah.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
Oh,
I'm glad you weren't hurt, and I'm glad the whole barn didn't burn down.
Well, yeah, and so some of the videos I saw, I think somebody was suing Kohler for their mower burning down their house. And I called my local mower guys like, I've never really seen that. And I'm like, you know what? That's kind of stuff I might say at the dealership if somebody called me with something weird. I would. Because you don't want to get customers in a panic if they know something is going on or something like that.
Right, or use your own words against you. Like, well, you told me that you had 3 others that burned in.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, yeah, I see that all the time. I would never say that either. But I was just like...
You're next, fast forward, you're in an episode of Matlock. You're in a stand. Your Honor, I'd like to bring my witness, Mr. Eric Stahl.
Yeah, you said to my client... that you see this all the time. Can you explain why you said that?
No, I never said that. Well, I've got the answering machine message tape right here with your own words.
The audio tape from the recorder.
I've seen 3 just like this. Dun, 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 dun. We just did an episode of Matlock.
I think we did. I think we, yeah.
No, dude, so what's next? I mean, you got a mower that's junk.
Yeah, and Jake sells mowers, so of course I got to look at Jake. I have to represent for the local guy, so if you ever need a mower, call German Bliss. If you buy something from German Bliss, tell Jake you heard it here on the show, so that way he'll stop guilting me. That'd be perfect.
That would be awesome.
If that could happen in the next 2 days, that'd be even better. But no, I want to buy, you know what?
What's up?
I looked at used. I'm like, I'll get a beater, but you know what? Somebody's selling a mower. If I'm selling a riding mower for $1,000, like a ZTR, what's wrong with that thing? I mean, the only reason I'm going to sell a ZTR is if it's beat to living hell. So I need the perfect situation. I need like the grandpa that
you need an estate sale
that gently passed. Yes, and it has one with 30 hours in the garage. That's what I need to be doing. Maybe I should be perusing the estate sales, but the problem is I have 1 week of growth since Easter in my yard.
Yeah, but it doesn't look that... On the way in, I'm like, I thought you cut it a week ago or so.
No.
Because we've had all that rain. Stuff started growing here in central Illinois. I wouldn't worry about it too much. Can't you just do like the au naturel and pretend it's like a hippie commune?
I like that. I like that idea a lot.
Yeah, just don't just say it's a pollinator habitat. You're choking out invasive species by not mowing it.
Yeah, no, that's not going to happen, Daryl.
All right.
So anyway, that is my life right now. It's Regan told me at the end of 2022, 2023 is going to be looking up.
Next year. Maybe it's like the same thing Cubs fans say and Bears fans say.
I'm starting to feel like a Cubs fan all of a sudden. So
you'll get it sorted.
We'll pull through. Pull through.
It'll all work out.
We will persevere.
If you want to borrow my garbage mower, you're more than welcome.
Actually, the thing is, so many people want to help. They're like, "What can I do? Can I help you?" And I'm like, "I just need a mower." That's great. I would go to your house. I mean, even Gabe reached out. I was like, "Do you have a mower?" I'm like, "I don't want to take somebody's mower."
Why not? I want to steal everybody's stuff. No. Just seriously,
no.
You have a
mowers
utility
are in high
trailer?
demand right now. I'm not going to be that guy who takes somebody's mower, and no. So
who cares?
I do.
I mean,
I have a serious pride issue with borrowing stuff from people. I don't like doing it.
It doesn't. At the end of the day, it's nice to feel useful, and I've had that too, where you go and somebody lends a hand, or you break down finally after being a stubborn dude, and you're just like, "Hey, man, can I borrow this? Can you give me a hand or whatever?" And a lot of people just want to feel useful, or be like, "Yeah, sure." Yeah. And they have that moment where it's like somebody asked me, "Hey, I got to buy some pegboard for my garage. Can you pick me up? We'll go to Menards, use your truck." And I'm like, "Yes." You know what I'm saying?
It's great on a T-shirt.
It would be good on a T-shirt. If only we knew someone who was making T-shirts available.
Yeah, if you're a Patreon subscriber, you might know more about it. But
some other story.
Special people only
tell
get that. Anyway, so that's my life in flames, Daryl. What's going on in the Scott Auto Museum in North Peoria?
Well, definitely not flames. I hope. And seriously, you can borrow my mower. It's garbage, but it runs.
Thanks. That's a hell of an offer,
isn't it? Gabe's closer. Anyways, not much going on in my neck of the woods. I did get the Plymouth out for a few drives. Well, the weather was nice. We had some beautiful weather here in the Midwest.
Yeah,
we had some storms.
Easter was insanely nice.
Oh, it was gorgeous. Like mid-70s sunshine.
Were you up north?
No, we were here in town. But yeah, just beautiful weather. And I actually did drive like Easter weekend and a couple other things. Already went to a show. Went to the invitational show over there at Expo Gardens. Saw the Batmobile.
Oh yeah, I saw that
pretty
picture.
cool.
I couldn't figure out what was going on.
Yeah,
I was confused.
Invitational car show, but I didn't go. I was just a spectator. But I got the 55 Plymouth out, and it's the one that's on its new tires there, so got to enjoy that. Went out to Menards with it. Put about, I don't know, maybe 150 miles on it so far. Got to wake up the other cars, though.
Oh,
See,
they get jealous.
They do, and the more stuff sits, then if you start spending time with one, the next time you get in, another one will start breaking something out of spite. So, no, we'll get those back on the road here.
Look who's got a flat, Daddy.
Yeah, exactly. Or like all of a sudden, like all the coolant will be on the floor. I'm like, what happened?
No, they're peeing on the rug.
Yeah, for some reason, the Plymouth had that where I had a bunch of antifreeze, and I'm like, I went out and I ordered a catch can because it has that overflow tube that just like, you know.
Was that like the little silver bucket you have like hanging off the front bumper? Is that now the hipster?
No, it's
Okay.
in the engine bay, but yeah. But I got that, and here's how smart I was. I'm like, oh, it's dripping out the overflow tube because a lot of the older cars just did that. Because nobody cared. They would just drip antifreeze out the and it would evaporate, and who cares? But I got it, and I went out to the garage to install it, and I'm like, oh, that's not the right side. It was just a loose lower radiator hose clamp that I've tightened about 17 times. So I probably should replace that clamp, but I just tightened it up and drove it. So I'll probably fix that at some point. But yeah, that's all I'm doing now.
That's it, huh?
That's it. Nothing fantastic, nothing spectacular. I do need to get on the Cadillac. I do want to get that thing running by July.
So I haven't been to your house in a while, and I really want to get up there last weekend, but you had like everybody in the world at your house.
Yeah, we had some
literally.
family.
Basement coming along?
Coming along, half of it at least. Half of it is drywalled. Sarah's down there taping and mudding right now.
Oh, good for her.
While we're talking. And yeah.
Well, maybe she'll listen to this episode on her flight.
She might. That'd
be great. She could like hit you the whole time.
Yeah, she'll wait for something offensive that I'll say and then poke me and say, you shouldn't say that. So, no, hopefully we'll get the basement bathroom done and then on to the family room. So it's getting there. A lot of irons in the fire, but I think this is the year. Remember how you said 2023 was going to be good?
Yeah.
That's what I've been saying for 3 years now.
Regan actually said that.
Yeah.
I would never say that out loud.
Without knocking on some wood here.
Exactly.
No, I think things will be good, and hopefully get out to a couple shows and events. There are some road rallies that have popped up, including one that I almost forwarded you, but it's too late to enter.
Is it around the lake?
It's up north. It's up in the Chicago area. It's a group called Fuel Fed, and they have a huge rally that they do every year. It's kind of a neat thing. It's mostly North Shore. A lot of like rich doctors and attorneys and stuff with like, here's my 71 Alfa Romeo Giulia or something. I'm not knocking those folks.
Judge Smales.
A little bit. But yeah, imagine if like you or I showed up with our stuff, they'd be like, "We'll call you."
Yeah.
But seriously, they do some cool road rallies, and they do a whole bunch of. I don't think they call them cars and coffee. It's like caffeine and octane or something you know what I mean?
Okay, yeah.
But it's all high end, kind of cool stuff, and they're usually in like downtown Winnetka or like Geneva.
I would go to something like that. Just honestly, if I had the spare time laying around, I would love to. I think it'd be great. Last weekend up in Rockford, there was an off road group that they called it Mall Crawl. And it's just a bunch of off-roaders meeting for coffee.
Nice.
And just showing off their trucks. And I'm like,
Sure.
I so want to go to that stuff.
Just something different, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of no matter what happens with Peoria Cars and Coffee, people will still get together on the weekend and hang out and talk about cars.
They
Somewhere.
Even if it's a small donut shop that we are waiting to open.
Yeah, dude, I'm telling you that I had a customer brought. Did you see my video today?
Yeah. Did you go get spud nuts?
A customer called me on Monday and said, listen, you were out of town last week. That's how she talks.
Does she?
Yes.
Like a 1980s radio call-in show?
Yeah.
This is the Quiet Storm.
I'd just like to let you know I have 24 spud nuts waiting for you. And
you got that call?
Yeah, pretty much. I'm like,
dude.
I'm like, what do we do? She goes, I just want to let you know you guys do a great job. I really like what you do for our car. I don't know if you know this, but Jessica Rabbit is one of our customers. And
I'm not bad. I'm just drawn that way.
Yeah. So I went down to Spud Nuts this morning, and they had the 24 set aside. And it wasn't just like 24 glazed donuts. Spud Nuts isn't called Spud Nuts anymore. It's called Tatoes in Beacon. The logo is literally a potato that's half spun out and then formed into a donut because they use potato flake dough.
Yeah.
Or
Potato
wheat.
flour.
Wheat, yeah.
Yeah.
Wheat. I guess it's not wheat. It's potato flour. Anyway.
Something. It's amazing. They're amazing donuts.
They are amazing donuts. I carried those donuts out of the store, and I swear to God, I might have got a cramp. There was 15 pounds of donuts in these 2 boxes. I carried them into the shop, and we didn't even... When you show up with 2 boxes of donuts into a shop with salesmen and technicians, and they can't even get through the 2 boxes in one day, that tells you everything you need to know about these donuts. They're monsters. They will kill you. They will literally, like a python, stretch around you and choke you out. They are tremendous.
We first moved here. I drove out there because everybody raved about them. And living in Peoria, we didn't get them. So I'm like, I'll get up early. I went there 3 times with Sarah before we got there early enough before they sold out. And we finally got them, and I got a couple coffee rolls. And same thing. I took a picture. I took a picture of one of them held up to my head. And Eric can vouch for me. I have a giant head.
It's a big head.
Giant head. This thing was almost as big as my entire face. And I was the happiest and fullest I've ever been after eating one of those pastries.
If they
Absolutely
only had a
delicious.
little parking lot around that place, I mean,
Yeah.
And my beef always was, and I used to yell at Chris Ruby about this. You know, when we moved the Cars and Coffee down to East Peoria, there's no coffee. He's like, well, there's Chick-fil-A. I don't know if Panera was there when they started.
I don't know if they were either. McDonald's.
Because I wouldn't have complained so hard about with Panera. It's a decent option. I like it.
Yeah. Yeah.
They get a little crowded, they get a little backed up, but whatever. But Chick-fil-A was not a worthy. I don't go to Chick-fil-A for coffee. I'm sorry.
No.
Yeah, but donuts and coffee at a location near where we have like a car show.
How awesome would that be?
It'd be amazing.
Oh, is Carl's Bakery over there open on Saturdays or no?
Well, it's in East Peoria, but I'm not sure. There's nothing really around that one.
No, I'm just thinking like...
They should start a booth. You know what?
Yeah.
I mean, ultimately, sometimes you're like, is it worth the effort? You know, Carl's or Tato's could make a bunch of money, but is it worth getting up extra early, making an extra 1,000 donuts?
I don't know. There's people that smuggle Krispy Kremes in across county lines because we lost our Krispy Kreme.
Yeah.
And they bring them in from Bloomington and set a stand
Are they
up.
really? I mean, okay, just a little. This is donut.
This
talk
is
with Eric.
donut talk.
Yeah. Krispy Kreme donut, which there was a Krispy Kreme when they expanded across the country. Peoria got probably one of the finer establishments with the machine that, drop the little donuts off the conveyor belt, and the little kids would like treat it like Willy Wonka's factory. It was cool, but then once they got sucked back down into reality, when their stock price dropped like a rock, we lost the donut shop in Peoria. And there's one in Bloomington, so
Yeah.
they're okay. They're good little donuts. They're nice when they're warm. I hate when I get them frozen for a fundraiser. Like
Garbage.
yeah, it's just like the same thing. No, it's not.
No, and the same thing is true with the sliders from White Castle. I did try the frozen ones.
But if I was in New York City and that was the only White Castle I could get, I'd be like, okay.
Yeah.
But the onions aren't the same. I got to have those onions.
Yeah, I get you.
Give me a grater and some onions on it.
What we need to, I think we're saying one consistent thing, one voice, is that we need more donut shops in this country.
Yeah.
To make Americans fatter again.
Yeah.
Is what I'm saying.
Oh, I
we
can
don't
tell-
have enough pre-diabetes, Eric.
I felt uncomfortable with the Tato 8. I literally I
Did you
took
polish
my
one or two?
One. I took one cinnamon roll and I started working at 8 a.m. It was literally noon before I was done with it. And I was proud of myself for that.
Really?
Because back in my prime,
Yeah.
I would have polished off 2 of those suckers by noon. Just shoving it in.
Did you need cutlery?
I used my pocket knife.
Did you?
I did. Yeah, I did.
Wait, you've reached that age? You're like my dad, where he's like uses the pocket knife to cut up your sandwich or your potatoes. Okay, that's not a knife. That's a knife. He just pulled out like a Bowie knife.
My Bear Grylls knife.
Yeah, that's
from Menards for $10. But anyway,
is it a Grieber or Gerber?
Gerber? Yeah, it's a Gerber. It's a $10 knife.
Garmin,
Gerber,
whatever it's called.
Yeah, I'll kill you.
We're here with Gary Busey.
Anyway, all right, ready to get on with the show.
Yes,
We got anything else to talk about here? Yeah.
No, donut rabbit holes are good.
First off, folks, if you haven't heard the pre-show, you just might as well sign up for that. Just get a hold of it for $2.99. You get on iTunes. You get access to all the pre-show material.
Talked a lot about old celebrities,
and we talked a lot about Cars and Coffee.
Yeah.
With maybe a little more honest take.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So when I was when I was planning episode 77, Daryl.
Yeah.
I was 77. I don't know why. I'm a child of 70. I was born in 71. You probably weren't born yet, but
No.
77, it was a blizzard of 77, and there was all kinds of crazy stuff going on. But I thought there's probably a lot of iconic cars, so I went searching back, and I'm like, what happened in 1977? And I'll be completely transparent and honest here when I say I might have typed in the worst cars of 1977, or I might have typed in the best cars of 1977.
Okay.
When I came up with this gem, number 5 on one of those lists. I don't know which list it was.
Okay.
It could be best or worst, but I found the 1977 Panther 6.
I've never heard of this vehicle.
And that shocks me. So if you listen to the pre-show, you'll know the 1977. Well, you'll know about the 77-year-old celebrities. You know a lot of stuff about 77, but the 1977 Panther 6. I can't believe you don't know about this car.
No, and it looks like there's an inset picture here in the document that we're following.
I'm glad I put the picture there so you know what you're looking at.
It looks like a cross between a C3 Corvette, a BMW M1, and like somebody's jet ski. I don't know what this thing is. What can you elaborate? Did you do some more research?
No, I just I can't. Like I said, I don't know. It's got an 8.2 liter twin-turbocharged V8. It has 600 horsepower. It's a unique looking little convertible, Daryl. But the thing you didn't note in your description, you didn't notice the fact that it's got 4 wheels in the front that turn.
That's the least weird thing about it. That's the least
all right. Well, I think
thing.
the show cover is probably going to include Eric and Daryl driving the Panther 6.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, great. So what was this thing? Was this like it can't be American. It definitely looks European-ish.
Yeah, it is European. It was built in Britain, and it's a 6-wheeler is what they call this thing. It's a British-born Panther 6, and it was from the school of thought that believed to be a sign of the future and things to come. Clearly, the idea of driving a car with 4 wheels over the front axle didn't really pick up steam. Oh, sorry, this is...
Oh, you're fine.
Clearly, the idea of driving a car with 4 wheels over the front axle didn't really pick up steam, despite the Panther 6 having been equipped with a formidable 8.2-liter twin-turbocharged Cadillac V8, producing over 600 horsepower. Putting in the good word for it, only 2 were ever made, further underlining the ultimate failure of both the car and its message that had any resonance. I think here's
Seems
my
rather harsh.
Here's my take, and again, I should have probably linked the whole article on this. My take on this is, back in the day, and you love muscle cars, you love older cars.
Yeah, yeah.
You could get so much power to the rear wheels in these cars. But and I know this from my Volare, even with the minimal power it produced, you could go sliding into an intersection, and it doesn't matter how much power you have, if you can't turn the wheel and actually turn with the car,
Yeah, power versus control. Yeah.
I don't remember what my sidewall height was on the Volare. But I don't imagine those tires were holding a lot of traction. And I imagine the engineer who thought a 6-wheeled car with 4 steering wheels in the front thought, you know what we're going to do? We're going to perfect steering, right?
Yeah.
We're going to be able to, no matter what the speed, no matter what we're pushing off with 600 horsepower at the back of this car, we're going to be able to steer our way out of every situation.
I think there was something in the 70s, too, because it might have been drugs, but I think it was pretty common.
Hugh Hefner could be seen in this thing, I think.
So Briggs & Stratton, the lawnmower motor company, they actually made an electric car, I believe, or an electric car, maybe it was electric, but it was some sort of concept car that was a 6-wheel car, same kind of thing, and it had an eerily similar look. They also had, do you remember the world's record for the longest limousine? And it was that giant Eldorado that had like 13 axles. It was parked next to the Queen Mary. And it had like a pool and a hot tub and a helicopter landing pad and all this stupid stuff.
No.
Okay. That was in like the Guinness Book of World Records book that I used to look at in the library in school when they're like, okay, everyone pick a book and read it. I get the same book every week. It was either that.
I remember those days, yeah.
It was either that book or a book about UFOs. Anyways, they had that Cadillac limo that just was like, more axles equals better. So I don't know. Maybe that was just kind of one of those little fads at the time. But this to me looks like it was definitely based. You got a Cadillac motor, front wheel drive. It's got the long wheelbase, and the back half from the cowl back looks like a 70s Eldorado. And I almost wonder if they didn't take an Eldorado and then like try to graft some sort of like composite front on it to make it look futuristic Buck Rogers style, you know?
Yeah, so from Wikipedia here, it says that the Panther 6 was a British six-wheel convertible produced by Panther. Apparently that was manufactured in 1977. Of course, we know how it was powered with that Cadillac V8. It says only 2 cars were made, one in white and one in black, both of which are still known to exist. One is in Saudi Arabia, of course, and the other was shown in the 2008 NEC Classic Car Show by the Panther Car Club and at the 2015 Concorso di Eleganza Via d'Este by Albert Fellner. The inspiration for the six-wheel design was provided by Tyrrell P34 racing car. The layout consists of one pair of larger rear tires with Pirelli 265/50/16s and 2 pairs of smaller steerable wheels in the front with Pirelli 205/40/13s.
Really? So 16s in the back.
But you can tell by that picture those rears look gigantic compared to the fronts, right?
Yeah, it's got a rake to it, but I wasn't sure that was that drastic.
It claims that the top speed of the vehicle was capable of over 200 miles an hour. And this is my problem when you have more rubber on the road. More rubber on the road at 200 miles an hour, to me, just smells of burning disaster, like a burning car fire.
I doubt any one of these would ever get clocked at 200. Yeah. Like there'd be some test driver like, hey, take this thing that some guy made in his barn with 2 turbos and 70s technology. Neat thing. I never heard anything about this. I don't think I'm going to put a poster of this on my wall next to Farrah Fawcett.
So just so you
know,
the
Lamborghini.
Panther West Winds was a manufacturer of niche sports cars and luxury cars based in Surrey, England, between 1972 and 1990.
Interesting. So they're no longer in business.
Yeah.
Wonder why.
I wonder if you can find the Panther Club when you're over in the across the pond.
I'll look for it.
Okay, that'd be great.
Yeah, definitely.
I think it'd be awesome.
So there's some other headlines that happened in the 1970s, 1977 to be exact.
You know, there's a theme going on here. Sorry.
Yeah, there's a nice late 70s theme. And Eric was so kind to put this picture, a nice inset picture of the newly downsized full-size B-body Chevrolet Impala that was a brand new body style that year. The Chevy Impala / Caprice takes the sales lead for 1977. Americans definitely reacted well to that redesign. Just a year before, that car was, I think, as big as they ever got.
It was everywhere, though, after the redesign.
Yeah, after that, they were really the sales leader, and they actually kept that design for the full-size B-body cars, the Caprices, all the way up until 1991. So lots of staying power, if you will. The Ford F-Series was 1977's best-selling pickup truck. Not much has changed there. Still a real good seller. After 2 years of Olds domination, the Chevy Impala Caprice took advantage of the downsizing to become America's best-selling vehicle, a whopping 657,151 sales, or an increase of 45% over the year before. The number 2 sales leader in that year, an Oldsmobile Cutlass Supreme. And I remember as a kid seeing Cutlasses everywhere.
Oh, my mom had a Cutlass Supreme.
Did she?
Maybe a 75.
They were really, really nice looking cars.
They were gorgeous cars. Yeah, I think we wept when that car was traded in for like a Malibu Classic in 1981. It was terrible.
My dad had a 79 Malibu Classic, and I think he had that 2 years, and it was like,
it was garbage,
we're done.
Possibly one of the worst cars we ever owned.
It was like 2 years old, and the thing burned oil. He's like, we're done. It had a cassette deck, though, so I thought that was pretty cool.
Sure.
Ford F-Series, as we said, top-selling truck. It climbed into the top pole position there and has never looked back since. It held the title of America's best-selling truck for 34 consecutive years. That's fantastic. Back to passenger cars, saluting third place was the Ford LTD in 1977. They still looked a little older. They didn't have that clean GM lines, and they actually got downsized. The Ford LTD and the
380,000 units on that LTD.
Yeah, they were actually...
holy smokes,
They looked so dated, and they were still big. They didn't get downsized for another year, so 79 is when they got theirs.
I mean, to think that, literally 650,000 Caprices were on the road.
Yeah, in 1 year. And it got bigger and bigger. Chevy Monte Carlo, of course, was down to number 4 in 1977. 3 newcomers in the top 10 list. That would be the beautiful Ford Granada.
One of my girlfriends in high school had a Granada.
You remember the Granada?
Yeah.
So Ford marketed that as a Mercedes that you can afford.
Are you serious?
They compared that. So when the Granada came out, they had all these ads that were like, you could buy a Mercedes 300 SL, or you could save $3,000 and buy this Granada. And they said every one of those ads, they had like independent journalists and consumer reviews and all, and they're like, the Granada is a much better car. And it's funny because you'll still see those older 70s Mercedes on the road, especially the diesels. They're still running and they still look good.
Really?
And I think I've seen like 2 Ford Granadas in the last 30 years.
Yeah, I will say this. My ex-girlfriend's Granada, I think that thing held on for like 10 or 15 years after high school.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was powder blue. It was that terrible blue color. It's
Just
like
gross.
Easter blue.
Yeah.
Robin egg blue.
They have like crushed velour seats and stuff.
I don't remember that.
No.
I think it might have been vinyl. Or
you could get one with a 302.
Corinthian leather.
Fine, Corinthian. Yeah, you could get one with a 302 in it. They weren't too bad.
Yeah. Oh, hers wasn't that. I guarantee that.
A 6-cylinder. Yeah. The other newcomers in 77, the newly redesigned Ford Thunderbird. And those were those Thunderbirds that had that weird roof line with the little tiny window in the middle on that B-pillar.
Yeah.
Kind of cool looking.
Yeah. I think those are, those still have a little eyeball today, right?
A little bit. Yeah. A little bit. 325,153 units. And the Buick Century was last. They were carrying up the 10th position torch with 279,657 sales. They also, in 77, were still the big bloated one. They got downsized the year later.
And you have to think about this. This is 1977 when Carter's still in office.
Yeah.
When do gas lines start? 78?
I thought it was 79.
Okay.
Was OPEC 2, basically.
These things are literally dinosaurs just grazing the plains before the Japanese
It's true.
show up. I look at these numbers. I'm like, how did they own the market? The population of the United States, is it doubled since the 70s probably, right?
Yeah, maybe.
And there's just millions of these. The numbers you just rattled off, there's almost 2 million cars rolling around here.
Yeah. Well, and they were caught, the big three were caught with OPEC 1 in 73, when a lot of these styles, the larger cars, pre-downsize, and downsize for folks who aren't super familiar, I'll just summarize this. Yeah. The 70s cars before OPEC were gigantic, bloated, humongous cars, to the point where like an Olds Cutlass would probably be a 4,600-pound car. An Impala or a Chevy Caprice of that time, pre-downsize, 72 to 76, probably a 5,000-pound car. And Cadillacs at that time, humongous.
Oh, yeah.
We're talking like 20-foot-long cars. It was almost as if gas was too cheap to even bother. It didn't matter. And then the oil embargo happened, and everybody that had something like that had to queue up in gas ration lines and wait and awful, right? There was nothing they could do, and those cars on a good day would get 9 miles per gallon, right? 12 maybe.
Maybe, yeah.
So what they started doing was, well, hey, we just retooled for this. We don't know what to do. And it took them 4 years, basically, for GM. They kind of were the first to get out ahead of it. They said, okay, all our full-size cars, we're basically going to shed weight. We're going to restyle. We're going to make them smaller. We're going to make them more efficient, but still big proportions on the inside. And so everybody started following suit. But by that time, you had a lot of American consumers that were starting to be like, what's this Honda I keep hearing about?
Right.
What's this Toyota Corolla?
All those Corollas look like, they look like, what, a quarter the size of these cars, right?
Yeah, if you pulled up next to them, or like the Nissan, the Datsun 210s.
Yeah,
those were,
and that's what my dad had when I was a kid. He had a little wagon, a Datsun wagon.
Yeah. That's where it all started, because they're like, hey, we never got those big behemoths, and you could actually drive around for 2 weeks and still afford to put food on the table.
It was funny. I was watching a Hitchcock movie. It was on Netflix or Amazon the other night. It was called Marnie.
Yes,
it's got Sean Connery in it.
Yes,
and
great film.
There's a scene where they pull up a horse trailer behind a car up to the house.
Yeah, and
my wife goes, "I need a car like that." And I'm like, well, that was back when cars were built like trucks. Yeah. There's a full-blown frame underneath that thing,
Full frame, 400-some cubic inch motor. You could actually tow like a houseboat with an Oldsmobile. No problem.
Yeah, honey, that's not going to happen.
Yeah, you can't do that behind I don't know, what did they make? You can't do it with They don't even make cars. I'm trying to think of a modern car.
There's nothing. Even today's SUVs, you have to question the integrity to pull a horse trailer. So.
Well, yeah, and I know that some of them, like when we had our little Jeep Patriot, I think they said, "Oh, you can tow up to 2,000 pounds." I said, "Well, what's 2,000 pounds?" Well, like a garden tractor. Like you can't tow anything now. It was back in the day, people that had boats or, like pull behind campers. That was a big deal. I knew several people that had giant RV campers. They would pull behind like the family station wagon, the Country Squire or the Chrysler Newport. They would just hitch their stuff, go to Florida, pull an Airstream. They wouldn't think twice of it. But that definitely changed, especially as things started downsizing. And, it's a good thing to do because we didn't need something that big. It was funny growing up in the Midwest as a kid. Anytime my dad took us to the county fair demolition derby through the 80s and 90s, all it was mid-70s full-size garbage rust buckets that made like 100...
full frame that they could just like drive in reverse and just smash the living hell out of everything.
Yeah, and you still see them today. Marshall Putnam County Fair. Every year there's like old Lincoln Continentals and all this. I'm like, where have these been? Oh, they collect them. The demo derby guys are still looking for 70s cars. Yeah. And they're still out there.
Man, I tell you what, the last time I went to a demolition derby, it was basically, let's take the exhaust off, let's strip this car down to nothing. And I get why you want that full frame car, but the fun has been taken out. When I was a kid, demolition derby was you drive around a track and you smash each other. Now it's like an area the size of this garage where the cars just kind of go back and forth and kind of smash each other.
It's kind of boring.
It is kind of boring.
Yeah.
I'd rather watch school bus racing or something.
Should we get some cheap beaters and just like make a demo derby down here?
Yeah, we could do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
That'd be fun.
Wouldn't the worst scenario in the world be that VR takes over this type of stuff or remote control, little cars? I mean,
right.
It'd be like, yeah, back in the dinosaur days, they used to drive real cars and do stuff like this. Well, what happened if somebody got hurt, Daddy?
Well, we just didn't talk about it.
And we rubbed some dirt on it. Yeah.
Actually, that might be a fun VR game series. Yeah. Just nothing but demolition derbies, figure eight racing.
Actually, yeah, our new game, The Future Sucks.
Yeah. I like it. Available now from Electronic Arts.
All right, let's move on to...
hold on. I'm going to get it.
Bring it.
I'm going to get it. There we go. Is it time for...
It's time for... The news! Everything that's pertinent in the world of automotive news coming at you right now.
It's so professional, this show.
Yes. All right. So, in world news, this came out from Car and Driver. Porsche is celebrating the 75th anniversary of the Porsche 356 with a book. It's the 75th anniversary book that celebrates the sports car's diamond jubilee. I guess if you're married 75 years, you got to give your wife a diamond. Is that how that works?
Yeah, you must have gotten married when you were
I won't be worried about that one.
2, but yeah. I guess. Actually, there's some people that celebrate 75 years.
Right. You see pictures of them, and you're like, they look so miserable. Anyway, the Diamond Jubilee, it doesn't shy away from the model's dark wartime past.
Was ist das?
Yes. So this isn't the car of the people, but I think was it a sports car of the people?
Yeah, same guy, but yeah.
Yeah, anyway. So look out for that one on newsstands.
Interesting.
Yeah. Ford Motor Company on Tuesday, they previously announced a $1.3 billion transformation of their Oakville assembly plant for electric vehicle manufacturing. It will begin in the second quarter of the next year. It will take about 6 months to complete. During this time, some 3,000 workers in Ontario, Canada will be furloughed, although the company expects to retain virtually all the employees when the plant comes back online in 2024. That's from Automotive News. Fun. We try not to talk too much about EV news, but that's just kind of we can't avoid it, can we?
Yeah, it's pretty much auto news at this point.
Yeah.
Also, it takes a long time to retrofit a factory, right? To uptool and change basically change the entire process.
Those guys who are getting furloughed would probably love our new VR game.
Yeah, they would. I think we need to get the R&D boys on that one pretty quick.
Hey, I've been playing The Future Sucks for the last 6 months with Daryl and Eric.
That's right. In other world news, we actually head across the pond. This is something that popped into
from the Mirror. This is racy.
This is some tabloid stuff here, but it tracks. Furious drivers resort to stealing traffic cameras ahead of the £12.50 daily charge for the new low emission zone scheme in London. As a lot of folks know, back I believe it was in 2019. The City of London basically installed a radius around there that said, hey, if you want to bring a car into the city, then you need to pay an extra fee if it's not a low-emission vehicle. So that has actually been expanded, and we'll talk a little bit about this. This is a write-up from the Mirror. Again, we're tabloid trash. We don't care. Mayor Sadiq Khan's ultra-low-emission zone scheme is already estimated to have raked in almost £250 million since it was first implemented back in 2019, and more protests have been staged over its expansion. That's a recent thing. Seething Londoners have been reduced to stealing ultra-low-emission zone cameras and cutting wires as fury mounts over the government's controversial expansion. Major Sadiq Khan, you call him Major because he's actually on the police force.
No way.
Yeah.
Seriously?
He's a policeman
Wow.
and a what do you call it? Mayor. Major mayor.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyways, facing more backlash over his plan to include all 32 London boroughs in the idea dubbed pure money-making scheme by angry protesters.
They use the word scheme over there so much. I love that.
Scheming. He yesterday defended his detested ULEZ project by claiming it will give men higher sperm counts because of the reduction in air pollution. There's a benefit nobody needed.
Yes, because overpopulation was another concern somebody else complained about.
From August 29th, the enlargement will become rolled out, meaning an estimated...
Sperm enlargement?
Yes. 700,000 more car owners must pay an additional £1,250 daily charge to travel around the capital city. Cameras are reported to have been ripped off of their bases and damaged, with claims that some of the registration detection devices have had their wires cut. City Hall said in a statement that as of March 21st, 2023, there had been 31 instances of vandalism or theft to those cameras within the expansion zone. So within the expansion zone, there's been 12 instances of vandalism or theft. So currently, if you drive something into the city, and I think I saw this on Clarkson's farm too, where he sent. Remember, he
Did
said,
you watch the last season?
Yeah,
Okay.
loved it. I loved the show.
I loved it too, and I recommend it to everybody.
Yeah.
Especially dealing with local politics. It's crazy.
That's what. Yeah, I mean, it starts as you're kind of interested in Clarkson and the personality and whatever, but then it's like it's following somebody trying to just do business within the confines of the law. And over there, it just seems extremely difficult. But yeah, I remember he sent his Caleb, his little farmhand, to the city to try to sell mushrooms or something.
That's great, yeah.
And he's like, I don't have money to pay for because it was a little diesel truck that he drove into the city.
Yeah.
Trying to sell stuff to restaurants in London, and you had to pay all this extra money and pay to park and everything. And it just seems like I can see that happening more and more. I think there's other U.S. cities.
I thought New York had tried a similar scheme.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
I don't know what happened
I think
with
we
that.
maybe reported on it earlier. And
It was a proposal. I don't know if it flew.
well, I think zero-emission vehicles, I think they were trying to make sure that if you brought a car into the island of New York City, is that Staten Island?
Or Manhattan.
Or Manhattan.
Yeah.
That had to be a zero-emission vehicle. If not, you're going to be charged an extra taxation. But I do believe they have an impact fee anyway of no matter what vehicle comes through a tunnel or over a bridge into New York, you're going to pay a fee.
Yeah. And it's for the congestion, for the convenience, for the whatever. But realistically, it's making cities in major metro areas even more unattractive for people coming from outside. And I've heard that complaint with Chicago, with parking and just the overall hassle, and just they've priced everything so that nobody has interest in going down to visit
the
anymore.
L sucks. Amtrak sucks. I mean, okay, so as somebody who's actually traveled into London by train, we hopped on at Oxfordshire, and came down, and then we use a tube throughout the day.
Okay.
In London, the tube is great.
Yeah.
And the tube is all over the place, and you can hop in and out. It's quick. It's efficient. It's not very expensive. And I'll be honest with you, the train ride from Oxford to London, I think at that time we laughed at how cheap it was versus an Amtrak ticket for a couple hours out of Chicago.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah. And I haven't taken the Metro in years when I lived up there.
No, the L is gross. And I've tried to take the red line. I thought that's one of the better lines to hop on. If you're in downtown, you want to go to North Side or something like that.
Yeah.
But dude, it's kind of scary. I mean, there's all kinds of crazy people running around. It doesn't look like anything's maintained. And then when you go to the regular L line, like say you want to just like go around downtown Michigan Avenue, dude, it's sketchy.
Yeah.
And nobody wants to help you. If you're from out of town, you go talk to one of those attendants there.
They're not.
They could not be bothered.
They're not friendly.
No.
So what you're saying is it's actually more efficient and safer to bring your own car?
Yeah, that's what I do. So I drive a Prius, so I use the Parking Buddy app, and I go right downtown, go into some 3-story below ground parking garage.
Yeah.
I don't worry about an impact fee in Chicago, but I don't know. I think.
But isn't the point to get people there? I mean, I understand the negative impact of vehicles in some way, shape, or form. I get that. But as a kid, my folks, that's the way we went into the city. And it's like, hey, we're going to go see a show here. We're going to go to a concert here. We're going to go to an event. And then we're going to go have dinner. And then we're going to go home. And everything is on your schedule.
Yeah.
You weren't rushed. You weren't on someone else's
timetable. That's the other problem
timetable.
with Amtrak. Amtrak's done at, 9 or 10 o'clock at night?
And then you're out.
Yeah, and that's it. And that's not reasonable. I mean, if we really want to take a hard look at, travel besides cars, we would look at the train transportation in this country and say,
do what UK is doing.
I mean, Peoria's like, we're going to do a rail line from Peoria to Chicago.
Yeah.
Like, why don't we just improve the rail line to Bloomington?
That already exists.
Yeah, exactly. Why don't we look at a line from Indianapolis to Des Moines, and run something across the I-74 corridor that connects these towns? Yeah. There's already a great line out of Bloomington, but it's unreasonable in price. So what do we need? Another unreasonably priced line from Peoria? Give me a break.
I think we do need to look at least the public transport infrastructure. I think before we start tacking on more fees and making things a little more difficult for people. Yeah. And London, I'm very curious to explore the UK this summer in a couple weeks.
Will you go to London?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we'll spend a couple days in London. We're actually going to take the train in from Cambridge, and,
nice.
and we've got a whole thing mapped out, and I'm extremely grateful.
As somebody who's probably been on Amtrak in your life, you're going to hop on the British experience
and be like, what are we doing
wrong? Yeah,
everything wrong here.
Well, no, but I mean, their gas prices suck. That was the one thing. Like when we traveled, and I've been to the UK. I've traveled around. Got a rental car at Heathrow. I've been out to the Cotswolds. Been out near Burford, where Clarkson's farm is filmed. I mean, I've been out in the countryside out there, and then we went to Scotland a couple years ago and drove all. Gas prices suck. Yeah. If you had a truck, if you tried to have a farm, I can't even imagine the money you'd be spending to try and to run something like that.
Sure.
They have made it so that you want to take public transportation. So I don't know. Is that the inflection point where gas prices are so high that public transportation has to be an asset that we look at?
Or EVs or some other mode of transportation. Because if you have an EV, you have something that is a low emission vehicle or zero emission vehicle, then you can still get around.
But then you lay an overlay of the UK over the United States.
Yeah, that's true.
And you look at from Carbondale to Madison would be like the whole friggin' country over there,
Right. No, I get it. I get that part too. But I'm curious to see how this plans out. The whole thing with the protests and the people getting riled up. I mean, there were.
God bless the Europeans. They know how to get pissed.
Do they though?
I think so. You know what? The French getting pissed off about changing retirement age. They'll roll that country. They will burn down and they will stop production in that country for months. God bless them. Because the United States, we're like, oh yeah, I got to get back to TikTok.
Yeah, I'm real angry. I'm going to make a post on social media and then go back to my normal life.
I mean, retirement age is a huge thing. People don't understand that. That literally. I mean, you and I talked about this in the pre-show, so I won't even rehash it.
No, I get you.
But to kick another year or two on everybody and say, oh, by the way, you're not going to retire at 65, now it's 67.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to make that law. You know what? Burn down the city, as far as I'm concerned, and do it for years to come, because nobody's guaranteed 67, nobody's guaranteed 65. But,
no.
I get it. So, but if it happened here, nobody would burn down.
No, we don't care.
No,
we'd make angry TikToks. And go right back to regular programming.
What's on Netflix tonight?
Yeah, exactly. Anyways, okay, so that's what's going on in the world. What's going on here?
Great stuff there, Daryl.
Within our shores.
Okay, so in national news, this is kind of lame, but I don't know if you know about this, about federal tax credits, Daryl. Mm-hmm. Why leasing an EV might be a smarter choice right now. This comes from source Axios. Not really familiar with those guys. Federal tax credits for electric vehicles purchases are about to disappear for many models under newly released IRS rules. But savvy shoppers are finding a workaround by leasing rather than buying a new car. Why it matters, President Biden's effort to expand EV adoption through newly revised tax credits is proving to be unworkable for many of today's models, creating confusion and frustration for automakers, dealers, and consumers. You can read more about that when we link it into the show notes here.
We were talking a little bit before the show, though, about how certain vehicles have to qualify for that credit.
There's like a quantity of vehicles every manufacturer can sell, and and it breaks down. So like the first round of the vehicles is like $7,500 credit, and then the second, once they sell so many, then it goes down to $3,750. But that's kind of a screw job on the customers. You know, like say like right now where it's hard to get cars.
Yeah.
And you're like, I'm on a waiting list. And now all of a sudden the federal government's like, oh, well, Toyota reached a certain limit on their cars. So now it's down to $3,750.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just make it for this tax year. You know, if you buy the car in this tax year, especially with production problems, I don't understand how you put these limits on the manufacturers.
Well, the whole the Inflation Reduction Act is that's what they're talking about. The EVs, certain EVs will be qualifying for a tax credit of up to $7,500 for new, and was it $4,000 I think for used, and that was one of those things. But there were certain qualifiers that the vehicles had to be made. What, here in the States? Was that what it was? I think certain.
Yeah, well,
certain
that's been the whole deal with his EV push, and that was part of Elon's big problem with Joe Biden too.
Yeah. And it's part of overall $394 billion in energy and climate funding in the form of tax credits here in the U.S. So if you look at some of those vehicles, you're seeing more and more investment in vehicles, EVs, coming here in the States, being built here in the States, including places like Kentucky, South Carolina, Tennessee, some of the plants that have been, in the past were cranking out things like Camrys and Hyundai Santa Fe's, things like that. They're starting to switch to EV production, and it's interesting to see. But the amount of models that are out there that do qualify for that, at least right now, there's definitely some out there, but it's not this giant field of thousands of different models to choose from.
No.
So interesting. Maybe leasing too is what's going to be a beneficial thing to get people into an EV that don't necessarily want to take on the risk. Because you still hear people say, "Oh, what about the batteries? When they go, it's going to be like $1 bazillion dollars."
And that's why I believe leasing an EV is the best way to go. You don't have to worry about ownership and the life cycle of most manufacturers now with the hybrid vehicles are doing 10 years or 200,000 miles on the batteries.
Right.
But realistically, if you lease it, no responsibility whatsoever. Just drive it, plug it in, hop back out when you're done.
Right.
And you don't have to get concerned about anything. And realistically, residual values are based on what the expected value of the car is after 2 or 3 years. And an EV, there's so much uncertainty. You might as well take all those federal loaded credits.
Sure.
Take them now.
Yeah.
Because I see a lot of those, the Nissan...
the Leaf.
Yeah, Leafs are like $10 a dozen, and you can buy them for nothing on the lots. Because once people sucked out all the federal tax incentives out of them...
Yeah, they're not worth that much.
It's a cheap old used car.
But it's also a good little commuter for somebody in
Maybe,
certain
until
settings.
it needs a battery.
Well, until it needs a battery.
Yeah.
Well, but even there, I think there's going to be a secondary market for some of that stuff.
Maybe.
And the amount of people that put the types of miles that they do here in the States, at least, we're not racking up more than 15,000 a year on average for most people
In the States?
in the States.
Well, I think, okay, you and I talked about a lot about this. EVs generally is a third car. Great option.
Yeah.
To and from work. Take the kids to and from school.
Sure.
You're not going to rack up a bunch of miles. That's not going to be the family truckster who takes you cross country. Certainly not going to be the guy who puts 1 million miles on his car in a couple of years doing it for work purposes or something like that, right? Mm-hmm. These Rivian delivery trucks for Amazon, 100-mile range. But the people I've talked to are like, well, 100 miles isn't really that bad for a delivery vehicle. I'm like, seriously?
Yeah.
They sit on the road half the day just while the drivers hop out and move packages around.
And at night, they go back to the same place, plug in, charge, and do it again tomorrow. So, no, I think that leasing is a great option for folks that are wanting to dip their toes into the EV water without a lot of the risks.
No risk.
Yeah. I wish I could do that with everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I would have leased my wife for sure.
I would at least.
Is that where you're going?
No. Just every piece of technology that I've ever bought and been disappointed with, like phones and laptops. Anyways, all right. So we're skipping this next article. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. But if you do want to have a chance, read about the article in Jalopnik about the Chicago vocational teacher who decided to do a land speed record in a Turo rented Supra. It's great.
Great story.
Yeah.
Good times.
All right, so we haven't done this one in a while. Oh, you know what? We haven't done our thing. We haven't talked about the dude. I mean, the guy. We got a whole.
Oh, you mean that guy that we talk about sometimes?
I mean, he's a little strange sometimes.
He is.
Yeah.
It must be that time.
It's time for your moment of Musk.
Hey, Elon Musk, you know what? This guy, he's a thinker. He's confirmed he's building an AI counter to Chat GPT. He's confident that Truth GPT will restore the trust and safety of AI. That's not truth.com, by the way. Sorry. Elon has confirmed he will build an AI model to counter the Chat GPT model AI chatbot backed by Microsoft. He says he'll name it Truth GPT, and it'll make its code transparent to offer tech industry an alternative to what has been dubbed closed source code effectively controlled by Microsoft. Yeah. So Musk was a co-founder and financer of ChatGPT, OpenAI, but he reportedly walked away after OpenAI's founders rejected his offer to take over the research company. Musk has since criticized ChatGPT and accused the OpenAI of training AI to lie. And that... Oh, wait. I should let Gabe have this.
Yeah, that's right.
Is he about ready?
It's got one more little round here.
Anyway.
Right.
Well, he interviewed with Tucker Carlson. He touted his AI alternative as the best path to safety, unlikely to annihilate humans because it would be focused on trying to understand the nature of the universe. Oh. Where's...
That was your moment of Musk.
There we go.
My God, what's wrong with us?
It's all right. It's all right. Well, you never know how long it's going to go.
Well, no, I guess I was waiting for Gabe to pop into my headphones at a given moment there.
No, well, we'll have to edit that.
So, Truth GPT. I mean, is there something going on there with like Truth Social? Is Truth now like the buzzword that you know that this is man?
Yeah,
it's got to be better if it's truth.
I'm telling you the truth now. Anyone who says they're telling you the truth
probably lies.
Probably. Like real people that tell you the truth don't need to say that. You trust them. No, I don't know what's going on with him. I think he needs a brand advocate. I think he needs a little coaching, but he's uncoachable.
Totally uncoachable.
Managed to make it this far. I don't think he's going to change. But don't you just wish you could grab him and be like, hey, can you just knock some of this off? Like some of what you're doing is great. The other stuff not so great.
I mean, okay, so Starship didn't do its launch the other day, and by the time this episode's released, maybe it will, but it got bumped with 40 seconds left of the launch to 4:20. And I was looking at one of the other guys at work, and we're like,
is
that him? Is he really holding up everything in this company just to make like a joke?
He just punked us.
Yeah.
I think. I mean, it's kind of funny.
Nah, I'm over pot jokes. I mean, Cheech and Chong were great. I'll still laugh at Cheech and Chong. But Elon Musk trying to power our economy still by making pot jokes.
You're over it.
I am a bit.
I mean, I can see that.
Yeah,
I can see that. There's other things to worry about, but
like maybe my grinding of the gear.
Is it that time?
You know what?
We haven't done this in many episodes.
Yeah, you know what though? I don't normally get that upset, and I've tried to like really temper myself over the last year.
You seem pretty calm.
I've been trying, but I saw a commercial today, and I don't know why I was watching regular TV with commercials. I don't watch TV with commercials, Daryl, because what happens is I'll be watching something, and my wife maybe was sitting there reading a book on the couch. She doesn't understand what I'm seeing during the commercial segment. But I see a van or like a tour bus pull up. It's like the John Madden Cruiser pulling up, but it says Car Shield on the side. I'm like, huh? What's going on here? What do Ice-T, Allen Iverson, and Ric Flair have in common? They all pitch Car Shield.
The aftermarket warranty?
So imagine this. And I saw this is from the commercial. A barber is cutting somebody's hair, and he needs advice about repair on his car. He's like, clip, clip, clip. Man, I got a problem with my car. And he asks the customer in a chair, a known automotive expert, acting was one. Hey, what would you do? Well, it turns around, it's Ice-T. Well, of course you'd listen to what Ice-T has to tell you. I'd be getting Car Shield. That's what I would do. I mean, thankfully, he has the answer.
Yeah.
But you know who the answer is, don't you? Allen Iverson.
Allen Iverson
is the answer. I mean, we're talking about practice, Allen Iverson. Allen Iverson comes on there. Yeah, and this dude with his cornrows.
Not the game, but practice.
We're talking about practice.
That's so good.
Yeah. I have that clip somewhere. I wanted to fish it into here. It gets worse though. I mean, first off, Chris Berman has been doing the tour bus cross country. So we got Chris Berman, who I used to kind of respect on ESPN.
Kind of.
Allen Iverson, I never respected because I always thought, he's just kind of a punk. It gets worse there. But now, after the whole commercial's over, they turn and everybody's talking at the barbershop. Ice-T. It's yeah, he knows everything. Maybe just for a second there, you're like, you know what? Maybe Ice-T doesn't know what he's talking about. Another guy turns around in a chair and gives his little bit of advice. And it's friggin' Ric Flair. And he yells, I mean, like the Howard Dean, yeah!
Are you serious? He does the woo or whatever. Yeah.
It was terrible. I'm like, that's Ric Flair. I don't know how much money they're throwing out there. I guess if you threw Ric Flair $50,000, what would he do, you think?
I mean, pretty much anything you ask him to.
I have to think. I'm telling you.
What barbershop is all those guys going to be hanging out in, by the way? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, I'm telling you. This was my final note on this. Chris Berman driving around the nation and the poor man's John Madden is like... I can't even read this. I can't even read this. It's so awful. Anyway.
No, it's. I've seen I saw the Chris Berman stuff.
Yeah,
I haven't seen the whole barbershop deal with Ice-T. I probably would have lost it. But and Ric Flair hasn't been doing anything except drugs in the last few years. So I have no clue. By the way, don't sue us for slander.
Yeah. Anyway, it's just the problem I have, and of course I'm rolling, I'm writhing on the floor in just anger, and I'm a malcontent. And my wife is sitting there reading a book like, "What is wrong with you?
Why are you so worked up?"
Yeah, it's an extended warranty commercial on a golf match. It's driving me nuts.
But it's stuck in your craw.
Yeah, and anyway, that's what's driving me nuts right now. That's grinding my gears. Car Shield rolling out the B-list, maybe D-list celebrities.
I'd say, except
and lending credibility to garbage.
Well, so those things don't ever work that well, right?
No.
Like especially Car Shield, where I've seen some stories in some of the car groups I'm in where they're like, yeah, my dealer denied the whole Car Shield thing, or like Car Shield wouldn't pay for this repair that whatever. And I'm thinking to myself, you're getting an aftermarket warranty on a 13-year-old car.
Yeah.
Why? What did you expect?
They're not going to lose warranty. They're not going to lose money on this whole deal. The warranty company got into this situation with you as based on the odds. There's an actuary table they're looking at. Yeah. They know if you have a 12-year-old Kia and they're charging you $2,000, guess what? They know what they're going to cover on that car. So when you go in there and say, oh, hey, the transmission went out, it's going to be $4,000. And be like, oh, well, we didn't tell you. You owned the contract for 12 months, and we only cover this much. And, oh, by the way, it's based on the value of the car. Your car's only worth $1,200, so that's all we're going to pay you for it. The transmission's with $4,000. Well, we're only going to give you $1,200.
Right.
And people just sit there confused and look at you. And they look at the repair facility as the problem.
Like you guys, yeah.
Like we had control of it.
No, this is the company that you signed a contract with. Mm-hmm. And also,
by the way, if you find yourself in a barbershop and you're asking for advice on life's, first off, I don't know that Ice-T is driving like a $1,200 junker around.
No.
So I don't know that he can give you practical life advice on how to get repairs done on that.
Probably not.
So him telling you to buy Car Shield or anything to do on your car, even to ask Ice-T which air filter to put in your car, probably not a good idea.
Just saying.
Hey, Ice-T, what microphone should I use? I'm going to rap. That's a good question.
Yeah.
He might actually have some insight for you.
He might have some frame of reference there.
But should I use the Fram filter or should I use the mobile filter? Yo, man.
Probably not. I don't know. Maybe he's a huge enthusiast. I've never seen him on any of the shows or in a barbershop.
Yeah, anyway. So,
All right. Well,
did I go too
shoot.
far?
No,
I never know.
No, not this time. We'll hear about it for sure. But a place you can go too far is late at night while you're surfing the internet, Facebook Marketplace, the Craigslist, the Bring a Trailers of the world for some sort of, I don't know, automotive source of happiness. Some sort of.
Do you derive joy from metal?
Does it bring you joy? You've come to the right place because we often feature in Throwin Wrenches podcast the Cars of the Week segment. And this is where we spend virtual currency we don't have on things we don't need and then eventually say, yeah, I can't afford that anyways. But we did pick a couple of doozies this week, and Eric actually has, dare I say, some exquisite taste in automotive picks this week.
People have told me I picked too much junk, so I figured at this point I might as well pick something else.
I like garbage though too. It's fun.
Yeah.
So what did you wrestle up here, and what were you searching for?
You know, the 356 kind of got my juices flowing, although there was too much Nazi lineage on that thing. So I decided to look up 911s, and I thought, you know what? I could go to Bring a Trailer. I could go to eBay. I could find some exquisite models of a 911. But what I thought I'd do is go to Facebook Marketplace, and I found in DeWitt, Michigan, a 1974 911. It's got 88,000 miles, got a manual transmission. It's got old paint, and the headliner's sagging. The front pan needs replaced, and it has a fuel leak. It's $35,000. But you know what? It's got those classic Porsche 911 wheels. The 5-spoke, the ones I'm talking about, they almost look like Steelies with a little chrome on the top.
They do look like Hot Wheels rims.
Yeah, they do. And the front bumper's got, I think at that time back in 1974, they put those extra long bumpers in the front to protect pedestrians from walking in front of you getting killed. But they look a little tacky. But you know what? On a dark car like this, kind of fun. So it's tacky. It's a Porsche, but I feel like this is one of those cars. It's a 911. And ultimately, at the end of the day, when you're talking to people, say, I own a 911. Mm-hmm. I don't care what 911 it is. I could have a 2022 911. I could have a 1955 911. I don't know what the earliest year is, so don't correct me.
No.
But
fine.
I could still say I had a 911.
I think that's a good pick, and that's great rationale because it's just like saying, oh, my Mercedes. I have a Mercedes. Oh, I took the Mercedes out. It doesn't matter. It could be a $2,000 beater.
Yeah.
It still sounds cool.
Yeah. If I drove through an intersection with this car, people are like, oh, look at that, 911. Mm-hmm. They'd know.
Yeah, heads would turn. Even if you had to yabba dabba do it because you had rusted floor pans.
They couldn't see who I was. I mean, I'd like somebody to look and go, hey, there's Eric. But they wouldn't see me because the headliner would be sagging in my face. But,
there was a dude who drove, it was a red one of these, about the same vintage. And we would end up at Starbucks around the same time every day for about a year. And I was driving the Volvo for a good chunk of one summer. And his was impeccably restored. Nice car. And he was driving it daily. And he had like the Ray-Bans. Dude made some money. I don't know what he did, but clearly he projected money and success. Projected. Right? And it was Carlton Sheets from the infomercials.
Oh, dude, I almost bought into that system.
Did you?
I'm like, hey, if I buy this house and flip it.
Anyway. Right, start buying real estate. Anyways, it was so funny because I finally, after a couple of weeks of running into the guy, and I finally said, hey, man, that's a nice 911. He's like, thanks. He's like, I like your Volvo a lot, though. And I'm like, I thought at first he was trying to be like, I like your old thing, too, just to be nice.
Just to be it, yeah.
But he said, after a couple weeks, he's like, you know why I like your car? And I'm like, no, I don't. Because you have something like way cooler. I was driving the 69 144. And he looks over. He's like, because my parents had one when I was a kid. And that's like what I learned to drive on.
Aww.
We went to school in it and stuff like that. I'm like, well, that's cool. I'm like, well, my uncle had 911s growing up. And then he graduated and got like cooler stuff. And I just looked at that and I'm like, that's cool. That's what I like. Because everybody has an impression of like the Porsche owner, right? It's like, oh, well, they're they're not going to talk to the commoners.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, between him and there's 2 or 3 other Porsche owners, 911 owners that I know locally, coolest people, salt of the earth. I mean, obviously they're successful and they have money and means to play with toys like that.
Yeah.
But every one of them is a car enthusiast.
And that's the thing about this. It's a driver's car. I'm looking at the other pictures of it. It's not tacky on the inside. It's actually pretty clean. The leather looks good. And so you buy that car. It's almost like it's like buying some functional gloves or something like that.
Yeah.
It's just a performance car. You didn't buy it for the radio. You didn't buy it, for any other reason, just to drive it.
Yep.
Right.
That's why I love
How
them.
much fun is that? Just to have a. I'm not worried about anything else. Mm-hmm. This is a road trip car. Should we go off road with this car? No. It's just, you know what, dude? It's just a car, just to have a little bit of fun, tool around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You gonna get $35,000 together?
No, probably not.
Okay.
I need a mower.
I need to buy a damn lawnmower.
Yeah, that's why it's cars of the week.
Not mowers of the week. All right. Well, I went a completely opposite end of the spectrum, my friend, and the other day I was on Facebook scrolling through, and of course they have the Facebook Marketplace, things you might be interested in.
This one.
Okay.
I didn't know it was your car of the week. You said it the other day.
No.
I'm like, he might buy this.
I might actually. So I'm scrolling through, and I see this root beer brown with wood trim, 1986 Dodge Aries LE station wagon, the old K car. Kind of the last few years of the K car in its original form, if you will. And it shows up, and I see a little banner that says Riverside Chevrolet. And that's in Chillicothe, which is like, 10 miles, 8 miles, whatever, from our house. Yeah. And I'm like, that's local. And I look at it, the thing is mint, okay? $6,900 is what they're asking. And here's the listing from the website. All in caps. You can't go wrong with the classics. All right. I mean, you can, but
I think you probably can.
You probably can. 86 Dodge Aries LE wagon. This vintage beauty is in mint condition with only 98,000 miles. Take a trip back in time with this wood-paneled station wagon. It will certainly have everyone talking. So I'm looking through this thing, and it's clean. There's a couple little scuffs on the bumpers and stuff here and there, but overall, new tires, new exhaust. The interior's clean, no rips, no tears, no rust on the car. It actually shines up and presents really nice.
Yeah.
And I'm looking, and all of a sudden, it starts popping up in a couple other of my car feeds. And they're like, hey, that station wagon that was for sale on Bring a Trailer is back up for sale. I'm like, what? This thing apparently was listed recently on Bring a Trailer in Pennsylvania. And it sold for $4,100. Somehow it ended up here in Central Illinois.
No way.
So
That's
I wonder,
wild.
somebody probably bought it and was like, hey, this is cool. And
Who would buy that and bring it? That's somebody got caught in a bid.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
It was one of those like impulse things.
Yeah.
And they got it, and they're like, yeah, it turns out I don't want this.
You can see the last bid on some of these, so I'd be interested to look this one up a little more research.
Yeah, and I honestly didn't look at the dates or anything like that. But so this thing's been around, but it's definitely a survivor. It's probably somebody's grandma's or grandpa's car. And they just cleaned it up, put new tires on it, and shipped it. I think it'd be a fun little summer road car. It'd be a hipster, it's got the luggage rack. You could go get your avocado toast and, play your cool stuff ironically. But to be honest, I think for bang for the buck, even if you paid full asking price, let's say you pay $7,000. It's a 4-cylinder. It's great on gas, easy to drive, easy to park.
Yeah.
It's a Bluetooth adapter away from just being a fun daily.
Maybe. My problem is when I look at a car like this, all I see is like dried up seals. I see CV axles that are cracked.
Oh yeah.
I see everything, and then I see the problem with the caliper goes bad, brake pad sticks, and the next thing you know, I'm trying to find parts for this friggin' thing because they're not to be found.
Yeah, I mean, the saving grace with this is the K car was so popular for so long, and it evolved into the minivans.
Sure, okay.
I think you'll have a little bit of it won't be as hard to find parts, but it'll be the stupid stuff like the wagon-specific trim pieces or like weather stripping.
Or the knob you pull out for the headlights. And it's
like bricks off in your head. What? What do I do with this?
Or the wiper wand that's hanging off the steering column because it's broken.
Yeah. It's almost like you've been there, Eric.
Yeah. Well, I know Chryslers. Okay.
Yeah.
My family was raised. My brother had a Dodge Spirit, and I had a Plymouth Volare. So believe me.
Yeah.
We know the saga.
If you know, you know.
Yeah. Been there, done that.
So maybe I shouldn't buy this then.
Well, okay, first off, big guys, small cars. I know this. This draws to you, and
does.
it takes up less space in the garage. I mean, I give you that.
Right. There's part of me that's like, if I just get smaller stuff, I can have more of it.
If I could only see you and your dad in this car test driving it, then I would give it the full permission.
Yeah, that's probably not going to happen.
Oh, bummer.
It'd be funny.
Yeah.
It'd be funny though. It'd be a good mini series. Like comedians in cars getting coffee. It'd be like fat guys trying to.
Daryl and his dad getting into K cars. Yes.
I would watch that Netflix series.
I bet you would by yourself because Sarah would leave the room.
Yeah,
she might watch it on the flight to Britain though.
You're embarrassing me again. Yeah, well,
it's a cool car. I mean, honestly, it has some heritage now with the bring a trailer aspect. So
maybe it's a Provenance.
Yeah, Provenance.
It's not like a 911 Porsche Carrera 2,
No,
but
with a headliner sagging and a oil pan leaking.
maybe.
Yeah.
All right. Well, does that bring us to the conclusion of yet another fine episode?
It does. Yeah. Thanks again for joining in. We appreciate that so much. Sorry for a little bit of delay. Daryl's going to be overseas. You know, Gabe did offer to come and do a show. Maybe I should do a show with Gabe while Daryl's out of town.
He does have a lot to talk about because his collection is growing, and he appreciates a fine European crafted vehicle of sorts.
Yeah, I don't know if I can talk motorcycles all night, though.
Well, you might.
I might just have to walk out of the room.
Well, you can.
He could talk, though. He can just keep talking.
You can talk about other stuff, other cars. He's always looking.
Yeah, true.
We're always looking.
Doesn't know anything about catalytic converter law, but he knows a lot about motorcycles.
That's right.
Anyway.
And cats, especially cats that you have here that really, really love humans.
Oh, dig it, Gabe. All right. Well, you know what, folks? If you give us some feedback. info@throwinwrenches.com.
Yeah.
I'd certainly love to hear it. Hey, let me give you an idea.
Let's hear
This
it.
is a crazy concept. Off the wall.
Okay.
Do a review.
Where?
Yeah, on iTunes. That'd
Oh.
be great. And you know what? If you're like some dedicated fans, you'll actually throw down your Android phone, you'll log into Apple, and you'll actually make an Apple account and do it. If you love us. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I guess.
All right. So, thanks again for joining us. I look forward to Daryl having a great trip. Be safe.
We'll do.
Enjoy
Thanks.
Eurovision.
I'll bring a mini or two back.
Give me like a foam. Can I get a foam finger for Eurovision?
Yeah, if they sell them.
That'd be great.
If I can smuggle one back for you, I will.
Right. Enjoy yourself.
Will do. Thanks, brother. In the meantime, I'm Daryl Scott.
I'm Eric Stahl.
See ya.